as I take your hand. I pledge to be your man. I vow to love, to hold, to cherish, and never disrespect the love we share. I'll be honest, I cannot lie. There'll be real good days, there'll be some bad times. I'll be standing right beside you, my sweet baby, with my love of mine. Oh, and you take this ring and I place it on your sweet and lovely hand. And we will show our kids, they will tell their kids what mom and daddy did.
Solemn part of the celebration, and we thank those people who were with us earlier for the wedding ceremony, and for those who just joined in, welcome. And to start with, we would like to acknowledge the key person who took a great part of this joyous affair. For their support, this event would not be made possible. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with pleasure to introduce to you the parents of the groom, Mr. Adriano and Mrs. Erlinda Borja. The bride, Mr. Henry and Mrs. Ofelia Villedo. To be followed by our principal sponsor, may we call on Councilor Richie Cuadra and Mrs. Bessie Villedo. Next is Councilor Marlon Alejandrino and Mrs. Linda Bantolino. Next is Mr. Ricar Enriquez and Mrs. Pepita Ampo, Jingle Calderon. Next is Mr. Danilo Oshal and Mrs. Adelita Gala. Followed by Mr. Gustavo Carausos and Mrs. Virginia Carausos. Next is Kagawad Fernando Lumacal Jr. and Mrs. Marivic Ralia. Next is Mr. Azar Vaz and Mrs. Julie Villoso. Last but not least, Mr. Geraldo Non and Mrs. Filipinas Oshal.
May we call on next the male sponsors, Mr. Adrian Borja and Miss Monica Ralia.
And the one who bind EA and Ruth together, Mr. John Barney Biscocho and Miss Tamara Lee Borja.
Now let's give a round of applause for our Bible bearer, Paul Isley Borja and Kerish Mian Martin.
For our little groom, Ray Christian
Next, may we call on our flower girls with their escorts. May I call on Mr. Clarence Villeda Jr.
Yvonne Yedo and
and
Bianca
Bianca Marie
Marie
Valenzuela.
Tonight calls for a grand celebration, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you for the very first time
Applause and welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Earl Brian Borja. So let's give them one more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. and Mrs. Earl Brian and Ruth and Borja. Alright, so let's settle down. Siguro po ay marami nang nagugutom at napapagod mula sa ating ceremonies earlier this afternoon. So before we begin with tonight's celebrations and festivities, it's siguro po it's but proper and, to begin the celebration with a prayer.
So, may we call on Pastor June.
Sa araw na to, sa pag-ibig na pinagkaloob mo sa amin, sa bawat isa sa amin, ikaw na nagbigay ng pagkakataong ito. Gagalak po kami at nagpapasalamat din sapagkat pinag-isa mo yung puso ni Earl at ni Ruth sa hapong ito. Dalangin po namin na i-bless mo po ang kanilang pagsasama. Hinihiling po namin na magpalain mo rin po ang okasyong ito. Pinagkakatiwala po namin ito sa pangalan po ng aming Panginoong Sus. Amen.
Thank you very much po, Pastor June. Now, sige po, so what we'll do is we'll have our dinner na po muna, then we'll have the wedding ceremonies later on, the traditional ceremonies. So, for us to have an orderly line sa ating pong buffet table, siguro what we'll do